Everyone, how are you? Welcome to yet another fantastic webinar organized by EHPA with the help of our colleagues from a lot of projects, a lot of regions, and a lot of other organizations. So this is quite a team effort. And also a EU Green Week partner event. Now, let me see if my mouse works. We had some technical problems today. Yeah. So all during the meeting, that will take 2.5 hours, by the way, but it's really interesting. So 2.5 hours might be daunting, but believe me, it's really interesting. But of course, get up a little bit, stretch a little bit. You're online in your house, get some coffee, put the headphones out. Whenever you have a question, just use the chat box that you have down. If you have a question for a certain speaker, first put their name. So for example, Dan, how is this, the question? So the speaker will know how to answer. And then we encourage the speakers to answer the questions at any time. So this is for the speakers as well, to keep an eye on the chat box. Then up in the right-hand corner, the Zoom has some options related to view. So you don't have to see just the presentation or just the speaker and the presentation. You can toggle around. So you can see the image on the screen, how to set that up. So you have speaker gallery and so on. So play with it. If you haven't learned so far Zoom, it's probably not too late yet, because we will continue with Zoom for the foreseeable future. Now, the question we have a lot is, will this be recorded? Will this be made available? This indeed will be recorded and made available. All the attendees, all the people that have registered for this webinar will receive an email with the recording and the presentations from the speakers. Everything, all our webinars are on our EHPA YouTube channel. So just write EHPA in the search box of YouTube, and then you can not just find this one, but you can find, probably now we have, I don't know, 36 webinars from all sorts of topics. So have a look. And now, to start, it is my great pleasure to introduce Seamus Hoyne, who has been involved in the energy sector for over 25 years. He has worked at the local and regional level as the managing director of the Tipperary Energy Agency, for which he is currently the chair of the board. Since 2018, he has been Secretary General of Federene and works closely with regions and energy agencies across Europe on the energy transition. From 2017, he was development manager in Limerick Institute of Technology, or LIT. And during that time, LIT's development unit activity grew to include 20 staff and projects with a total value of over 35 million euros. In January 2021, he took up the role of Dean of Flexible and Work-Based Learning in Limerick Institute of Technology, and also established the Sustainable Development Research Institute, of which he is principal investigator. He is passionate about delivering change on climate action and ensuring that individuals, communities, enterprises, industries, and regions can deliver on the transformative change required to achieve carbon neutrality. Well, Seamus, always like very impressed with all the work that you do, and you have to tell us one day, maybe we'll make a special webinar, how you you manage all these projects. So the floor is yours, Seamus.
Great. Thank you very much, Dan, and good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is safe and well. And it's a great pleasure to be able to introduce this seminar to you today, and was maybe just set the context. I think very importantly, this seminar has been organized by two leading European networks who are really at the forefront of driving the change towards a carbon-free society. And the European Heat Pump Association and Federene represent many stakeholders from across Europe involved in this ambitious challenge that we have before us to by 2050 to be a carbon neutral Europe. As Secretary General of Federene, I am delighted to see this continued cooperation with the European Heat Pump Association. And FEDEREN is a network of over 80 regions and energy agencies all across Europe, working every day on the energy transition. And in total, across all of the energy agencies in Europe, there are over 2,500 people working on the energy transition and facilitating the change that needs to occur across our communities, our regions, our industries, and our enterprises. And clearly, the European Heat Pump Association is at the forefront of positioning and ensuring that heat pumps play a major role in the energy transition, working with industry, with policymakers and others to ensure that as we look towards decarbonisation and electrification of heat and cooling, that we have the right technologies and solutions in place. And in the context of today's talk, we speak around deep renovation and deep retrofitting. And this is a key phrase across European, national and regional policy at the moment. And yet we're aware that the scale of renovation that is happening across Europe is still not at the levels that were required to achieve our 2030 and our 2050 ambitions. So we need to scale up urgently, and we need to expand the workforce that will achieve this deep renovation. And we need to mobilize investment into the sectors. And clearly we're going to have technological advancements. And Europe is investing heavily through the Horizon Europe and other research and innovation mechanisms to support that technological advancement. But we also know that there are technologies available today as we speak that can allow for a significant reduction in our energy demand and the decarbonisation of our energy supply. And really across Europe, the policy framework has never been as positive. And that is happening now also at member state level and at regional level. And we have new changes coming to further to existing European directives, Energy Efficiency Directive, Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, and the Renewable Energy Directive. And this will increase the pressure to transform the rhetoric around decarbonisation and energy efficiency into reality. So really, many people have heard me speak, will have heard me say that really, even as an engineer, technology is not so much the problem. The real problem at the moment is people and money. How do we engage building owners, whether they are residential or non-residential, public or private, to invest in and implement deep renovation projects? How do we mobilize the thousands of professionals and workers that we will need to achieve and implement all of these installations and these renovation projects? How do we ensure they have the right skills and the knowledge to do high quality work? How do we combine the public commitments in terms of financing with the opportunity for private investment? And how do we ensure we get the best value for money? How do we make the best decisions so we get the most carbon savings for the investment that we make? And we need to answer these questions and many, many more very soon. And there are many regions across Europe that are seeking to answer these questions and demonstrate to us and to other Europeans how this can be done, how regions can respond. And also to make sure that other regions that are trying to develop don't make mistakes that we make or that we may have made, that we can learn from each other. And today really is about that learning and that sharing of experiences. We have the opportunity to learn from experts across Europe that are involved in a number of different initiatives in relation to deep renovation and retrofit. And I'm delighted to be able to facilitate the first session. And in session 2, we will hear from the Heat Pump for All project, and the project team will introduce you to that. And later on, we'll hear in session 3 about one-stop shops and the Super Homes 2030 project. So moving on to our first session, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to work with both Vincent and Francisco. And firstly, I'm going to ask them to give a brief presentation, and then we will go into a short panel discussion where we'll explore some particular aspects. So firstly, I'm going to ask Vincent Paulette to present. Vincent has been involved in the energy transition sector since 2005. He worked originally in the private sector, supporting industrial and institutional players, setting up their strategies and in the development of energy and sustainable development projects. He joined the public sector in 2014, where he has simultaneously developed his skills in financial engineering and project financing and his knowledge of the operation mechanisms of public companies and communities. As the operational director of the Regional Agency for Energy and Climate since May 2018, he is in charge, among other things, of the home renovation public service, Renovation. So, Vincent, I'd like to pass the floor over to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Seamus, and thank you everyone for inviting me to this webinar. So, oh, I don't think I have the control of the slides. Okay, excuse me. So, few slides to present the agency and our specificities. So, the Regional Energy Climate Agency in Occitanie in France has been created in 2018, linked with the regional projects to be an energy positive region, with the aim to divide by 2 the energy consumptions and to multiply by 3 the renewable energy production in order to become the first energy positive region in Europe by 2050. And for that, among other things, the region has created the agency in order to have an operational tool to help private and public actors to integrate these energy transitions and to give the means to everyone to position their actions in a transitional approach. I'm sorry for the slides, they are sliding automatically. And so the agency has a specific model that permits us to be present on all the chain of projects from origination and qualification to the implementation and exploitation of the projects. We have the ability to finance projects with almost 40 million euro of project finance capacity. And we are doing projects on all the fields of energy transitions, on renewables, obviously on buildings retrofits. That is one of the major issues today to achieve this transition, on mobility also, and on climate and carbon issues, obviously. Concerning the renovation, household renovation, that's this is the subject I'm in charge of in the agency. The region has created last year a service public for dedicated to home renovation services, and at the agency we are holding one of the main parts of this new public service under public service delegation contracts that the region gave us in order to holds a one-stop shop for home renovation with subsidized support services for households and condominium, and with a dedicated public bank in order to finance for households and condominium this ambitious renovation projects. For that, we have obviously the support of the region with 40 million euros dedicated capital increase for the agency dedicated to this activity, and the support of Europe through mainly the European Investment Bank with a 40 million euro loan facility under SFSB, and with the support of technical assistance, Elena, that helps us to launch these huge projects in Occitanie. Few data at a glance for this Renov Occitanie services. We developed a RED on the region with 32 counters set up by the local authorities in partnership with the region in order to have almost 170 dedicated counselors that are in direct contact with households. For this year, the objectives are massive. We aim to inform more than 70,000 households on renovation questions, to realize more than 4,000 energy audits, and to support almost 2,000 deep retrofit projects. And till the end of 2024, we aim to give households 70 million euros loans dedicated to households deep retrofit. So I won't say any more, and let's some time for the question after.
Very good. Thank you very much, Vincent. And very interesting, and looking forward to discussing it further with you. And next, I'd like to introduce Francisco Puente, who's the General Manager of ESCAN Consulting in the region of Madrid in Spain. ESCAN Consulting is a firm with experience in energy policy, market research, energy efficiency, sustainable energy, power and heat markets. And it provides significant work within the energy sector, but also with industry, the manufacturing industry, and public bodies. Francisco, who I've had the pleasure of working with over many years, is a frequent speaker at European Utility Week, World Sustainable Energy Days, and other international energy-related events. Previously, he worked as Associate Professor at the Rey Juan Carlos University, in DSNL and Técnicas Reunidas. One of the projects he is working on is the Replace project, which we're going to hear about today, which is focused on making heating and cooling for European consumers efficient, economically resilient, clean, and climate friendly. So please, Francesco, if you could give us your introduction.
Thank you very much, Seamus, and also thank you to the organizers of this very interesting conference. Good morning also to all the people attending this event. Okay. Yes, so I would like to start with my presentation, which is, as Seamus mentioned, focused on the region of Madrid, the experiences and what's happening here in our region of Madrid. And also, I will speak at the end a little bit about the Replace project. Basically, what is happening in Spain and in Madrid, particularly similar to many other countries, is that there are many changes in the energy policies and energy regulation. I would say this is affecting all sectors, specifically electricity and heating and cooling. We are having many changes. For example, this week we have a new electric tariff for homes. Now we have all homes 3 periods, peak, valley, and we have peak, valley, and let's say normal price of energy. And also we have 2 periods for the power installed in the homes, so power contracted. So the tariff is fully changing now, and this means a lot of information to be sent to the consumers and a lot of changes for the utilities to adapt to this new situation. This is just an example of what is happening here in Spain. Regarding more in the focus of the energy efficiency and renovation, as you can see here, these are 2 new regulations. We have new law for Spain on climate change and energy transition, which was recently approved. And this one is starting in the Paris Agreement and is following all the decarbonization of the Spanish economy. So now it's not energy efficiency, renewables, or some other issue, is decarbonization of the society, decarbonization of the industries, of the buildings. So this is let's say the target. And particularly the government encourages the renovation and rehabilitation of existing buildings to reach decarbonization by 2050. Related to this, and last year we have also changed in the regulation for new buildings, for new constructed buildings, and let's say in an average, any new constructed building now in Spain would be category or label A or B. There is almost no possibility that you construct a new building with a new regulation, which is D, E, or something like that. So the regulation is becoming very, let's say, I would say strict or very deep in the decarbonization and in the building new construction, and also in building renovation. If we go down to Madrid, we have also a new law, the Energy Sustainability Law, and also the Energy Plan of the Region of Madrid, which basically takes all this information from the national level and adapts to Madrid, and is focused on, again, low carbon energy model, energy efficiency, and local energy generation of RES. I think I would say this is another important point, the possibility to share renewable energy in distributed energy. And there is a new regulation also for self-consumption and shared self-consumption. So now a neighborhood can install PV, for example, and share it among the homes. Of course, with some, you have to fulfill some regulation and agree with something with the distribution company, but this is also possible. So this is all what is happening now. Also, we have some supporting programs, subsidies or funding programs at national level. This is the PRII, which is a very open and important program for building renovation. You have, as you can see in the bottom, 3 typology of renovation possibilities: to change the envelope of the building, to install renewables and change all the heating, cooling, and ventilation systems, and hot water production, and also the lighting system. So you have from 30% to approximately 60 or 70% if you are in a poverty situation. So you can scale this subsidy or this funding, and also you get some, a part of the subsidy, some soft loan for the remaining part up to the 90% of the overall investment. So I think this is a very ambitious program, and is happening for a few years, and is really supporting the refurbishment and renovation of buildings. This is all for already constructed buildings. In the regional level, we have all these substitution programs for different equipment. Like, for example, these are some examples. These are for boilers. So all boilers are able to receive some support from the regional government, and also, for example, for windows. And today, I just recently read the news from the from the local government of Madrid that they are opening also a program to support the substitution of coal boilers and oil boilers, and change them by other more fossil fuel less consumption technology. So this is happening, let's say, today in our region and city. And finally, we have also capacity building. What we think also, as Seamus mentioned at the start, is important that we aware people and we train people to do this change to the CO2-free future Europe. And we have in the national level, for example, these are 2 examples: the EORM European Energy Manager training courses, which is we work in this course. We are managing it in Spain, and with the contribution of the regional government and supported by the European Commission. But also at national level, the National Ministry and IDAE, the National Energy Agency, have e-learning platform for consumers mainly, and mainly for consumers, but also there are training courses at the regional level for different issues like renovation, solar PV self-consumption, or geothermal energy, and so on and so on. Finally, this is a different issue. I wanted also to explain a little bit about this. This is a Replace project, which is a project developed in the region of Castilla y León, in the northern part of the region of Madrid, in Spain. This is one of the largest regions in Europe, in let's say in the surface. And we are doing here a very important support to the regional government, and it's a European funded project, Horizon 2020, a Replace project, which is aimed at preparing a specific campaign to substitute all coal and oil boilers, but by biomass boilers. And this is focused on residential sector, and is mainly for one-family homes, multi-family buildings, and district heating and cooling. You can see the website there. And I know the time is very limited, so thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Francisco. And maybe now my task is to ask you both some questions and maybe get some more detail on particular areas, and we'll keep an eye on the chat to ask you on particular questions that will come up also. So maybe first, Vincent, to you, in terms of the ambition that you spoke about, which your home renovation project, engaging with 70,000 homeowners and developing the renovation support schemes. How was that ambition set at a regional level? Who was involved? Was that the agency designs the program and got political support, or was there a dual approach between the political side and the technical side at the regional level?
Well, at the regional level, indeed, in the work the region has done to write the roadmap of this positive energy region scenario. We have a declination for household energy renovation, and so we have the objective today to reach 52,000 deep households renovation per year till 2030, and 70,000 till 2050, 70,000 per year. This is really ambitious because we are talking about deep retrofit renovation. And this also asks the questions of the follow-up of the renovation of individuals, because today we have also this issue, and we are working on how to have a good vision and a good understanding of how much homeowners are doing renovation and at which energy efficiency level on their homes. And if we don't have these visions, we can have any objectives, we never know when we reach it. So we have these two issues in parallel: how to develop the sectors, the private sectors, the industry, all the public services that we are holding, and on the other side, to have a good vision on what is really happening on this issue. So at the agency, we are trying right now to launch the services, and we have a roadmap shared with the region, with the service of the states, with the National Energy Agency, with few tasks in order to achieve all the issues linked with these objectives. And so observation is one of them. Coordination of private and public sector is another one, because it's needed to reach these objectives.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And Francisco, there's a number of questions coming in referring to maybe training and support. And please, Vincent, come in also. I suppose in particular in the context of the Replace project and the other schemes that you talked about, replacing windows, replacing boilers. What activity is happening in the region in terms of the upskilling and the increasing the knowledge and skills of the workforce to be able to do this work to a high quality?
Yeah, usually the process is that after the regional or national and regional plans are approved, so in this case, if it's regional funding, there is a regional plan approved, there is some agreement usually, and is the practical way to proceed, which is happening and is successful, is to do some kind of agreement with usually some association. If it's, for example, for windows, the regional government established an agreement with the Windows Association, or where installers and Windows producers or manufacturers are, and then when you want to ask for this kind of support, you have to ask this association, and they only those people, let's say, trained and prepared to do this kind of changes with high quality can ask for this subsidy, let's say. So you do it through the association, and you have to select some, let's say, installer, which is associated to the association and has been trained on this. So they know exactly what kind of windows are supported. I mean, as you can imagine, not any single glass window is supported, but maybe double with a certain minimum U value and so on. So this is the way to let's say, to proceed. And generally speaking, these people are quite well trained by the associations. They have specific training programs. Also, the manufacturers provide, let's say, good information, and they have training facilities. I don't want to sell anybody, let's say, but we have, for example, Isobel Saint-Gobain, which is one of the key manufacturers and sellers here in Spain. They have big facilities, and they bring all these people to the facilities, train them in situ, and so on. So this is the way to proceed in practice.
Very good.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, Vincent, if you want to mention, is there any particular training or upskilling involved in your initiative?
Well, quickly, it's part of the different objectives and tasks we have to achieve within the projects. This has not been our priority past years, but it is a real priority, because with all the actions we set up, the demand of households is increasing fastly. And we need to ensure that the offer of enterprise and private sectors beneath will be there to meet the demand. So this is an objective for us, yeah.
Very good. And a question from Thomas Walter to you both. I suppose in the context of local communities or community-focused engagement with either the Replace project or your initiative, Vincent, is there opportunities there? I know you mentioned Francisco in particular, the laws changed for local renewable energy supply. Combining that with energy efficiency measures, are there opportunities there?
Yes, very clearly the local approach is, for me, is or at least to my understanding, is the practical part. So in Replace, to put some specific cases, in Replace we have one of the lines will be to do, for example, a common purchase of biomass boilers in a certain place. So we ask local energy agencies and local municipalities to send us information on the potential they have, if they have a neighborhood or a group of people that they know, people from the community that they want to jointly do some action. So these joint actions of the people, let's say, of the families, we try to find them through the local authorities or local energy agencies. And then once we jointly define this group, then we try to support them in preparing this line for funding this kind of joint action. And here, what is relevant is that you don't, let's say, sell your idea, but the people ask you what they want. So they want maybe to buy pellet boilers, or they want to do a small district heating or whatever. Then we listen to them, and then we support them in doing this change. And this work of linking the policies and the funding lines to the people, I would say that the critical people there are the local authorities and local energy agencies. And this is happening particularly in Replace. We are doing one action, we have 8 actions, and one is this joint implementation of actions at local level through municipalities and local energy agencies.
Very good. Vincent, is there any particular community-orientated activities in your region?
Yeah, well, not today, but this is a lead we have in mind. The fact is that in Occitanie, there is a huge citizen dynamics for mainly today renewable energy projects, with a lot of citizen groups that developed and finance renewable energy projects, mainly PV projects. And now, with the development of all these communities, we are asking the question is there a place for these communities to help the financial engineering for retrofits of households? Because we could link this with PV installation on rooftops or not, but we are thinking about it.
Very good. And that's a good connection to my final question for the last few minutes. Maybe it would be very useful, Vincent, from your perspective, to explain. You mentioned the soft loans mechanism. I'm very interested in the structures that you've put together to create the financial incentives and the support for the homeowners. So if you could explain a little bit about that, and then Francisco, maybe some questions on the chat, and also I'd be interested to hear about the levels of support that are available, and also the soft loans that you mentioned that are available to kind of bridge the gap, the financing gap for homeowners. So firstly, Vincent.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, this is the real innovations that we are holding in these projects, and that we are able to do it under a law of 2015 that allows what we call in France tier financing society, that in fact authorized collectivities and their tool, operation tool, as the agency is, to propose soft loans within a global support services. In fact, for us, it's proposing an audit of the household, proposing a support mission to help people doing the renovation indeed. And this allows us to propose a soft loan under it's almost the same regulation that private bank have. So it's quite it's a huge work for us to support that for the agency, but it allows us to propose these soft loans for people, and this is a real lever in order to help people financing this renovation projects, because compared with private banking sectors, we are proposing soft loans. The mean loan we are doing might be like 20,000 euros, but it is a loans at on 20 years times. So it is really adapted to the renovation economic time. And private banks, they don't know how to do that today. So the objective we have is not to do the financing of all renovation for the region, because we're not a bank. I mean, I'm not a bank, and I'm learning every day on how to do the regulation stuff, the control of everything, and it's huge. My objective is to give to prove to the bank sectors that we can do it, that it's possible, that it's a real financial product that works, that helps people, and that can be profitable for them. So I hope that in 2 years' time, maybe, we will have all the main regional bank following us and proposing similar products, bank products, loan products, and that will allow us to focus on maybe technical activities and let the financial to finance people.
Very good. Thank you very much. And critically, that is very important to stimulate the private sector, the financial world to come into the energy efficiency world. Francisco, any just final comments from your side in terms of, particularly you mentioned that there are the state subsidies, but also then the soft loans. Are those soft loans coming through regional banks or through any other particular mechanism?
Yes, I'm a little bit answering. I also recommend to check the chat, because I'm answering and sending links to different issues in answering to all the people, trying to answer all the people. But yes, basically here in Spain we have this national grant. So I would say if somebody wants to ask about national grants for anything about buildings or heating and cooling and renewables, directly see the IDAE, the National Energy Agency website, or ask directly them, and they will send you information. We have these programs, as I mentioned, for renovation of buildings and also for integrated renewables in this part. Also, we have regional and local level other, let's say, direct subsidies for let's say renovation of boilers, renovation of windows, which is typically 20 to 30% of subsidies in the sense of this. Then we have also, if we are going to ask for credit or for funding, let's say soft loans, there are also some banks which are let's say following the program, the national programs, and what they do is to cover the part that is not covered by the subsidies. So you can ask for a subsidy, and then you can ask certain banks for this specific credits. Depending on the action, you have specific banks, for example, for residential sector. So there is a bank here. I wouldn't like to give names, but large banks, European, German, that they're giving specific subsidies, for example, for residential sector buildings renovation. and they have specific, because before the problem was that some private banks were not really very experts in assessing the risks and I think this happened in Europe. They could not assess the risk and the grants. The credits were in a very high interest rate. Now they learn about efficiency and renewables integrated, and they have gone down a lot, and they are, let's say, interesting for the people. Otherwise, you get something not interesting. And a part of that, I recommended also for this is not only for Spain, but at European level, I would recommend also for local organizations to check the European, the European facility, European city and European city facility, which the link is also in the chat, because this action is providing some subsidies to any local organization, any local authority, or groups of local authorities for preparing some, let's say, financing business model, let's say, or financing model for their changes in their region, in their municipalities. So this is like going from the local energy plan to the installation of the thing, let's say, to the renovation of the building, to installation of solar PV. So what it's paid is a certain amount, is a subsidy, 100% for doing this plan to change, to substitute this. So it's also, the link is there, and there are still 2 calls to be open in the next one will be by the end of the year, and the next one early next year.
Great. Thank you very much, Francisco, and thank you for highlighting the EU city facility. And thank you both, Francisco and Vincent, for your expertise and for sharing your knowledge with you. Again, I'm sure both Francisco and Vincent would be very happy to hear from you both. If you have any questions to follow up later on, and as their presentations are available also, and extensive links on their company websites. So thank you very much. I'm going to pass you back to Dan, who will introduce the next part of today's seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much, Seamus, Vincent, Francisco. Indeed, really interesting. And I was just thinking now that maybe we need a webinar just about financing, just about loans. But stay with us, because the upcoming presentations have some parts about financing in them. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to session 2. This is introducing the HP for All, or Heat Pumps for All regional implementation plans. Again, just a reminder, and thank you so much for the questions that are going in the chat. Keep putting them, keep putting the speaker that you're addressing them to, and of course the speakers, please do your best to answer those questions. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce Patrick O'Reilly. He's a mechanical engineer working in the areas of renewable heating and building services since 2002, with a particular emphasis on the design and installation of heat pump systems. Prior to that, he worked in heating-related manufacturing businesses. He joined the Limerick Institute of Technology Development Unit in September 2017 to work on the Superhomes 2.0 project, a project concerned with the optimization of air source heat pump applications in NZEB residential retrofits. He is currently working on projects relating to heat pump performance, FACT HP, upskilling the heat pump value chain, Heat Pumps for All, expansion of deep retrofit one-stop shop, Superhomes 2030, and energy efficiency in SMEs, Speedier. And although he will talk about Heat Pumps for All, you can find out more about Superhomes 2030 in session number 3. So hopefully, Patrick, the virtual mouse, and virtual microphone is yours.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everybody, and thanks to Dan and your colleagues for this opportunity to present our project Heat Pump for All. I suppose in our general retrofit efforts all across Europe, heat pumps play a very important role. Heat pump renovations, heat pump-led renovations, for example, are out to the forefront of residential retrofit in Ireland. We're also looking at opportunities in Austria at developing large-scale heat pump projects, and in Spain at looking at replacing heat pumps and bringing more heat pumps into public sector buildings. So the Heat Pump for All project focuses on the skills that are required.
Va bene. Tra poco devo parlare, non ho capito niente, non mi ricordo cosa vuol dire SCR.
Sorry, someone is speaking in Italian. Could you mute yourself, please? Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so as James said earlier, the skills that are required to develop this increase in heat pumps are you know, a foremost concern. And so the Heat Pump for All project is going to look at developing the skills that are needed on the one hand, and then on the other hand, to create demand for those skills from the building users, the end users, whether they be residential or non-residential, public or private. Hold on now, see, can I get this working? Here we go. So our partners bring a wealth of experience in energy efficiency projects, and in particular to the development of heat pumps as a leading low carbon heating and cooling technology. The roles that our partners play in this project include specialist research, communication, dissemination, project management, leading of the pilot site activities. So in this project, we will be running pilot activities in Spain, Austria, and Ireland. And also then we will be working on replicating our findings and the outcomes of our project in other EU countries. Limerick Institute of Technology is proud to coordinate this Horizon 2020 project. I'm proud to lead a very talented and professional consortium. The project, as I said, is all about developing skills required for successful heat pump markets, for the successful implementation of the technology, to ensure that the energy efficiency gains that heat pumps present are realized in practice, that we achieve the targeted savings that we hope to achieve. And in doing so, Heat Pump for All will enhance, develop and promote the skills that are needed, and you know, bring those skills then into the forefront of the consciousness of the building users, to make sure that they realize what they need to expect of the professionals and the installers that they're working with. This is all in the context of very significant growth within the heat pump market across the EU. Figures here from the HPA show, particularly in the last 6 or 7 years, a dramatic increase in heat pump sales, and that's only expected to increase further over the next few years. The objectives of the Heat Pump for All project are coming down to some specific stated objectives: to develop a heat pump competency framework, to increase the number of skilled workers who are operating in the industry, to enable end users and clients to demand high quality solutions and services from those professionals, and then to replicate the outcomes in other EU countries. Our expected impacts are to be, I suppose, that our efforts will be responsible for the savings of 2 gigawatt hours per annum in primary energy, to increase the use of renewable production by approximately the same 1.9 gigawatt hours per year, to reduce a reduction of 628 tons of CO2 per year, and to train 400 people. And then as part of our efforts, as we'll see in a moment, with end users to develop a benchmarking tool to assist in decision making. The methodology, the project is, I suppose, it's a typical project structure, but just to give an overview of where the efforts of the project are focused. We have our project management and communication and dissemination horizontal work packages, which would be normal. But the engine room, I suppose, of the project is in the work packages 2, 3, 4, and 5. Work packages 2 and 3 are predominantly focused on the supply side of the market. Work package 2 will provide a core knowledge base and resources to inform all of the other work packages. It'll provide us with a thorough understanding of best practice in the industry, best practice as it relates to the development of skills, looking at barriers to the acceptance of these skills, and also then barriers and acceptance of the demand for these skills. So to see what value is placed upon those skills by the people who are ultimately going to be the owners and the operators of heat pump systems. So we will gather recommendations on policy actions as well, from engagement with the market through with different stakeholders, focus groups, and other techniques. Moving into work package 3, our focus here is on the skills themselves. So through engagement with the heat pump industry, we will develop a competency framework for each stage in the supply chain. So we look at the competencies that are needed all the way from the end user back to the designer, the installer, the supplier of the equipment, the greater supply network, you know, the building merchants, all of the different actors in the industry, to make sure that they are upskilled in the implications of rolling out heat pump technology across the industry. Work package 4 then will focus on the end users. It's going to respond to the needs of the end users. We already have carried out significant analysis through surveys and interviews. Our aim here is to develop a knowledge hub which end users of you know, a number of different types of end users, be they residential in the Irish market or large heat pump systems in Austria, or commercial or public bodies in Spain, that there will be a country-specific knowledge hub available to these regions, where they can access information that will assist them in procuring the right system. And as well as that, in work package 4, we will develop a benchmarking tool. This will again be pilot region specific and will help to act as a decision tree for end users as they select the correct technology for their building. As we move then, all of this work in work packages 2, 3, and 4 is feeding into the piloting activities, which are just beginning now. We have 3 pilot regions in Austria, Spain, and Ireland. In Upper Austria, Andalusia, and then in Ireland generally. The pilot activities again would highlight and develop the knowledge and skills that are needed with a particular focus in each region. And then, as I say, we really are focused on creating value and generating demand for those skills amongst the building users. Our activities here will involve training, guidebooks, events, technical sales, engagement with the industry generally, maybe through DIY stores and different forums like that. Well, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail now in a moment. And at the end of this overall presentation on the project, my colleagues will give a presentation on the actual pilot activities in the 3 regions. So then that's just an overview of the operation of the project. Just to move into some specifics then, in looking at skills analysis, we've carried out a review of best practice initiatives that have already increased skills in the energy sector. We've created panels of experts, conducted surveys, and carried out interviews to get their opinions and their views on different aspects of the heat pump supply chain. We're also in the process of reviewing the policy and legislation that affects the rollout of heat pump technology in the different regions. All of this will form a backdrop to the development of skills and capacity within the heat pump sector. Some examples of the outputs of this process are for example, in the Austrian situation, we have learned that, you know, a one-stop shop service has been set up for householders. Key in this process is that it's product independent, that trust is built up between the potential end user of a heat pump and the energy agency who are offering this advice, and that the advice is embedded in a wider framework of incentives and other information that are specific to the region. In Ireland, we've recently had the development of a code of practice for domestic heat pumps. This document, this code of practice, is going to form the basis for future training in all domestic heat pumps, all up to 70 kilowatts. And it will be a document that can be a reference guide for all actors within the heat pump industry. And just another example, in our pilot region in Spain, in the Andalusian Sustainable Construction Development Plan, it showed how combining regulatory actions, training, and financial incentives, that combining these 3 created a boost in demand for skills, which had a which had a knock-on effect then of having a significant impact on local economies. So all of these, the output of this review can be found on, is publicly available on the download section of our website. It combines a collection of 49 initiatives from all around Europe, which is freely available. As we move on then, our current focus is on our training review. So we're developing clear understanding of the training offerings that are provided in the different regions. There are a very wide range of different training, from detailed design training right down to maintenance and F-gas training, and we've tried to get a picture in each region of all of the different types of training that are relevant to heat pumps. Some of them are standalone training programs. Other training is embedded within different qualifications, such as maybe plumbing and electrician or refrigeration engineering. But it's important for us to get a picture in each region of all of the different types of training, so that we can identify gaps, look at how we can create linkages between these different training providers, look at not only just current training that's being provided, but what are the possible future training that are required. We'll be looking at develop, as I say, a knowledge hub and a benchmarking tool are some of the tools that will come from this process. And then as we move into the pilot regions, we will be looking at, in Ireland, focusing on how we can bring all of this learning to bear on the domestic and non-domestic market. I'll speak about that in a moment. My colleague Christiana will speak about the situation in Upper Austria, where the focus will be on large-scale heat pumps. And Rocio will tell us about the activities in Andalusia, where the focus will be on the public sector, looking at upgrades and of existing equipment, and also looking at new installations. So to borrow a slide from my colleagues Christiana and Seamus, we were kind of trying to take, there's always the talk of the carrot and stick, but we want to look at also the tambourine, so the carrot, stick and tambourine approach. The carrot are the incentives that are there to drive the demand for skills, to drive demand for the systems in the first place, and then to drive demand for skills, to embed heat pump skills into existing training, and then to also develop flexible and adaptable heat pump specific training programs. Looking to the stick, then we look at regulations that are going to be required for designers and installers to have qualifications or to be members of a register. And then the tambourine is about spreading the good news, or having a feel-good factor about well executed case studies, projects that were well designed, well installed, with very happy end users. I think it's really important that we get that message out there to the general public. So that concludes the section on just the overall project presentation. So I am going to continue now and just very briefly touch on the piloting activities and what our focus will be in the Ireland region. We're going to focus on domestic and non-domestic heat pumps. We have specific targets for this project that we are aiming for. On the domestic side, we have we were looking at new build and retrofit. In the new build sector, our building regulations over the last few years are such now that the majority, well in excess of 80% of new build residences are fitted with heat pumps at this stage. So it's practically impossible to fit a fossil fuel boiler now, such as the level of regulation, which is obviously great for the promotion of heat pumps. In the retrofit area, we have a big focus on heat pump-led retrofits. So when we look at our national targets up to 2030, our climate action plan has a target of 600,000 heat pumps installed by that time, by 2030. When it was written around 2018, there were only approximately 35,000 installed at that stage. So it's a massive increase in installed capacity. Of that, 400,000 will be in retrofit. So it's an unprecedented change in technology. We have a huge scope for energy efficiency gains and CO2 savings, but also with such a sharp rise in the uptake, we have a risk that if not done properly, we could have a lot of poor performance as well. So installation capacity in the supply chain is already struggling to meet current demand, but yet this demand must increase approximately 5-fold to reach these targets. So this is the arena that our piloting activities will focus on in the domestic market. To support that, we have this new code of practice, which is a very welcome addition to the situation. LIT were members of the committee that drafted this, so we will be developing activities within our pilot region to help promote this document, to get the information out there to the practitioners in the industry through a wide range of industry contacts, for which we've built up in other projects, so end users, installers, suppliers, and also policymakers. We've carried out some research, as Dan referred to earlier, specific to the real world performance monitoring of heat pumps, to just some, for example, very quickly, this kind of the gap between predicted and actual COP is affected by a number of different things, not least compressor cycling, which is affected by system design and installation and commissioning. So this is the kind of approach that we will take to try and get this information out into the marketplace. Looking then to the non-domestic, sorry, I jumped ahead too far there. The non-domestic heat pumps, we're beginning with a focus on a national requirement for public sector buildings, all public sector buildings, to have a building energy rating of B by 2030. So this is a huge challenge, a huge ambitious target for all public sector buildings, which, as you can imagine, are coming a very wide range of types and ages and construction types. So within that, the energy split is such that there's 31% is used for thermal energy. The vast majority of that will be for heating. We do have some cooling, but not an awful lot. So there's big scope here for heat pumps to play a role. Breaking down the thermal energy a bit further, we can see that the majority of that is heated with gas, natural gas being the bulk of it, I suppose, in the towns and cities, but also some LPG and biogas. Heating oils represent 17%, which would be a key target for heat pumps. We already have approximately 21% that are heated by wood fuel, so that will be already in the biogas or biomass renewable sector. So we will be targeting the oil sector in particular. The high ambitious targets will also make it possible for gas systems to be replaced, but the big focus here will be on buildings to get them suitable for low temperature heating systems, so that heat pumps can be working at their best. So I think I'll move along now and pass on to my colleague Rosa Gilabert, who's from CTA in Spain, and she will give us an update on the piloting activities in Andalusia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Padre, for the presentation and the organization for this webinar, and good morning, everyone. Let me to introduce the Spanish implementation plan. First of all, I would like to share with you the different climate zones in Spain. It is important to take into account that we have 3 different climate zones. As you can see in this map, the blue zone it could be the most similar to Ireland. It's the Atlantic North zone. The yellow zone is more similar to the continental zone and covers the most of the Spanish terrain. And in Andalusia, where this implementation plan will be mainly held, is most similar to the Mediterranean zone. So we have to make different comparisons about the different zones, and you can see that where the heat pump is more used is in the Mediterranean zone. Mainly, this is used by the homes, and the more or less the 95% of the heat pump is used for cooling and for warm. And the other heat pump is mainly used by the industry, the trade and service, and the activities ancillary to transport. The evolution of the air conditioning market in Spain in the last years has a variation in the time. As you can see, it was a downturn in 27, probably due to the global economic crisis. And then from 2014 and 2017, you can see that it is starting to increasing, and the heat pumps started to increase in 85% in share, which then relatively established overall. Almost the 75% of the energy use is in aerothermal energy. The 95% of the heat pump is for heating and cooling, and mainly cooling, and only the 5% is using for cooling. Almost the 90% of the units and the 60% of the power are for households, and the other energy used, more usually is geothermal and hydrothermal in a less way, and the 30% is not known. In talking about the Spanish pilot region, the specific challenges that we want to address through this pilot is to facilitate the uptake of advanced heat pump technologies by public authorities or public buildings owners. Also, we pretend to encourage product development by manufacturers, clusters aligned with public bodies, highlight the advantages and opportunities of heat pump technologies to studies and citizens is other of the specific challenges. The last but not least is mobilize target heat pumps related education and training resource for practitioners and workers. The main opportunities related to HP for All project, and we can running with this pilot, is to provide a chance visibility to heat pump technologies, also referred to in the current legal and financial framework. Heat pumps are not specifically prescribed in Spain. The other one is to pave the way for future innovative greener public procurement initiatives, specifically devoted to heat pump technologies uptake. And finally, the other opportunity is to try to foster bundle specific education and training packages for less qualified workers. The relevant stakeholders who will be involved in this pilot will be mainly public building owners, public authorities, market level effect, where we can find organizations that own residential and non-residential buildings, policy-making public bodies, heat pump manufacturers and installation companies, and manufacturing, EP&C, and ESCO cluster and professional associations. The strategy is to ensure the target group is to consider the key stakeholders and gatekeeper approach in a local, regional, and state housing and energy agencies, municipalities, federation, and also cluster and professional association high-level representative. We can get this with several actions in order to, the first one is a public authorities awareness raising campaign, made dissemination and communication activities for manufacturer cluster, and finally draw up case studies to facilitate forming through several webinars and several regional events, focused to stakeholders, focused to policymakers, and to the private sectors. That's all from the Spanish pilot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rocío. I would like to now pass on to Christiana Egger from Upper Austria Energy Sparverband. Thank you, Christiana.
Yes, hello. Good morning, afternoon, lunchtime from Austria. It's my pleasure now to round off this session with a short report from Upper Austria. I'm trying to move, yes. So where is it? It's in the middle. We are in the northern part of Austria, between Vienna and Salzburg. Soon you will be able to travel again, then you can see this yourself. As was mentioned earlier, we have put a focus on renewable space heating for many decades with many different instruments. So today already nearly 60% of all space heating in our region is from renewables. About 2/3 of this is modern, clean bioenergy, and the other third is highly efficient heat pumps. So we have the good situation that actually people have two technologies to choose from, and together with our efforts in energy efficiency renovation of buildings, we managed to decrease GHG emissions from buildings by nearly 40% in the last 10 years. Half was energy efficiency, half was the conversion of heating systems to renewable heating. Now, the starting points of our pilot region, oops, I seem to have landed in something else. Not sure what this is now. Okay. These slides don't work. If I could ask the colleagues running the technology to fix that if they can. So basically, the starting points of our activity was we have a very well established market, both for building renovation and for heating. And let's see again now, no. So this is running very well. Parek mentioned our sticks, carrots, and tambourines approach with our donkey. We have a very good growth in the heat pump market, unfortunately. Well, at least you can see the picture. That's something. So with a good growth rate in the last years, there's some ups and downs, but the last 10 years, we're really seeing a very good increase. We have stringent quality criteria for renewable heating, both for bioenergy and for heat pumps in relation to emissions, both air emissions, noise emissions, and performance. We also have a one-stop shop for homeowners, as was mentioned by my French colleague in the first session. So in our program, there are currently 10,000 households, which we advise and support in their deep renovation projects. Now, what will we do in our HP for All project? I leave you to guess it. We will focus on the larger scale systems, which is heat pumps for the business sector, for industry, because here, different from the other renewable heating market, we are really in a fairly early market stage. Low levels of skill, relatively low levels of awareness among commercial and industrial building users, especially when it comes to more complex solutions where you combine different temperature flows into the heat pump and use cascading formats of heating and cooling, including process heat. So all this really the value that the heat pump can give to the system, both in energy efficiency and in renewables. It's one of the very interesting and nice things about heat pumps. Now, we will work across the value chain. So this is my picture that you can see here. So upskilling, information raising, awareness, from research to operation and maintenance, obviously with a focus on sales, planning, and decision-making in among non-residential end users. What will be our planned activities? We will have information material, case studies, best practice examples, events, and training. And I will close by 2 invitations. One will be in September, where the Heat Pump Austria, together with their 2 neighboring associations, will hold an international large-scale heat pump conference on site. And my agency together is a partner with the HP for All, is a partner in one of these sessions. And the second is very close. It's our annual conference, World Sustainable Energy Days, which will be held in less than 2 weeks. It's a fully hybrid event, online and on site. And if you're interested, check out the program. My colleague will put that into the chat box, and I'd be very happy to hear from you and to discuss how we can use renewable heating to advance a carbon-free society. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Christiana. And well done for getting through the technical glitch there. I think it's the projects that you're hoping to promote will be really interesting, and the development of project proposals, getting them off the ground, will be really key in that. So thank you very much. And Dan, I think we can hand back to you now. We're at an end there, so thanks very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. And indeed, check out the events Christian and ESV is organizing. They look really, really nice. And I think you have the link, or you will have the links to register or take a look at the agenda in the chat box, if I'm not mistaken. To move to session number 3. So we talked about regions, we talked about training. Now we'll talk a little bit about one-stop shops, about renovations, about the very interesting other initiatives that also combine to just give a little bit one more brick in the wall, as somebody was saying last week in a webinar. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you, and again, please put your questions in the chat, tag the speakers that you would like to address the question towards. There's a little bit of a note here as well, is that after the presentations, so presentation from Janet, then Jose, and then Federica, there will be time for a little Q&A at the end. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Janet Doyle. Let me change the slide as well. That joined Superhomes in August 2018. She's a business graduate and a certified public accountant. She also holds qualifications in business coaching, operations management, and governance in the charitable sector. Janet has a demonstrated successful history working in the nonprofit sector, construction and engineering sectors, with a keen interest in social enterprises. She has over 15 years of management experience and has financially managed over 20 regional, national, and international projects. Janet is responsible for the coordination of the Superhomes 2030 project, and a project that she will present now. Janet, you have the virtual floor, mouse, camera, microphone, and hopefully all the internet gods and presentation gods will work in your favor. Please.
Hopefully, Dan. Thanks very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here today and for having me. I cover a little bit about our Superhomes 2030 project. I find it's a very interesting one. Bear with me now while I get a handle on these slides. I'm going way ahead of where I should be. It's a few technical glitches here, guys. Just trying to go back. Is there a way to go back on these slides, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it there. Yes. Yeah.
There's just a little bit of a delay with Zoom.
Okay.
So just carefully going back. It takes a little bit of practice. We are also showing you during this webinar how to use the slides. So an extra reason to participate in our webinars.
Demonstrating for everybody.
Demonstrating, okay. And here you go.
Every day is a learning day. Okay, so the Superhomes 2030 project, it's really an opportunity for us to further develop the one-stop shop idea in Ireland, and exploring what's needed to create greater capacity within the market and also to deliver on it. We've started in the deep retrofit service residential buildings in Ireland in 2015, and we've had huge turnover growth, about 80 to 100% every year on year for the last 4 years. We're working with over 30 contractors and at least 10, if not more, delivering more than multiple homes. Our technical competence is increasing every year, and you can see on my slide there, all those blue dots are homes that we have upgraded or that we've worked on retrofit, and our hope is that we'll eventually cover all of Ireland, and which is one of the objectives of this project. If we consider the map of Ireland itself, you can see that it's color coded, so this is our heat map, and our ideal would be that everybody would be, all those homes would be in green. They would have a BER rating, so building energy rating of maybe an A or a B. You can see that there's certainly a lot of yellows and purples and all different colours throughout the country. We really want to turn it green, and we're looking at national scale out. So super homes itself, and if we consider what super homes is, like we often say that it's, you know, people are contacting ourselves because they want a warm, comfortable, healthy home. They want low bills or insulated from fuel price rises. They also want to be assured, they want the assurance of being green. We supply a lot more than that, and we're very proud to be supplying a lot more than that. It's the knowledge of what we do and how we do it. We want to provide an easy route to public subsidies. We want good contractor access, proper supervision and sign-off, quality assurance and certainty for homeowners. And also working towards, and I know it's been a hot topic this morning, especially market-leading finance for our homeowners. But if you consider what a super home is itself, it's a mixture of different measures. It's not just a single measure. So we're looking at items like fresh air, warmth, insulation, and moving away from fossil fuels. So heat pump LED in every opportunity. So there's multiple measures that can be put into a home to create a super home. If we consider what a super home is and one-stop shop for client is, we would say it has a number of different areas from a client's point of view. So there's the awareness and marketing. So we wish to engage, we wish to promote. So it's that retrofit awareness raising, knowledge transfer, homeowners experience and their memoirs. And I have to say, I might change that first one to a tambourine. It might be a lot better really to show how we want to push the idea and promote in this area. There's also the huge consideration of sales and the idea that I suppose it's specialist led. So it's an independent, trusted independent retrofit advisor. The idea is independent, so there's a quality and oversight at every stage of the process, so that the correct measures and correct guidance are given to homeowners, and we're basically holding their hand, along with doing the same for contractors. We design and tender for the work, certainly wanting every home to meet at least a BER rating of a B2 or above, and we want to use cost optimal retrofit model. Quality assurance, I've already mentioned, it's key. Quality every step of the way is key within a super home, and certainly to grow the market in Ireland and to raise awareness so that people can see the value throughout. And advocacy is always hugely important. We need to educate, we need to engage, we need to promote, I mentioned earlier. So educate in terms of showcasing best practice, engaging through events such as open door events after COVID, and events like this would be absolutely fantastic, and showing others the retrofit process and how it actually works. So from a one-stop shop point of view, what exactly am I speaking about? A moment ago, I spoke about the customer's point of view, but we really want this route to engage. So we want to constantly continue to build awareness. That would be through the creation of things like knowledge hubs. We want community events, clinics, constantly engaging with contractors, homeowners, all those market actors. We want to provide advice such as home surveys, energy reports, price and project management, and then on the other side of it, so we want to give the full circle of services and help homeowners access finance. So it would be through subsidies, grant subsidies, or other finance solutions, and also skilling contractors in terms of managing their own processes. And then there's a project works themselves. So we would be certainly looking at energy contractors tendering, inspecting of their works, giving professional advice, technical advice I mentioned already in the BER assessments. So I know Padraig already mentioned that we're doing this against the backdrop of the climate action plan in Ireland at the moment, and that's really to look at upgrading 500,000 homes in Ireland to B2 equivalent by 2030, and that's a huge undertaking within our market at the moment within Ireland, especially considering the capacity that's there at the moment and the requirement to upscale within the market and to create and to help the market actors. With the climate action plan also wants to see installation of 600,000 heat pumps by 2030 as well, and putting together this idea of a new retrofit and delivery model which will group retrofits together, leave with smart finance, ensure easy payback methods, etc. And really what we're talking about is this development and this exploration of the one-stop shop idea that what Superhomes 2030 is all about, and all the items that we're looking at. So hence we for Superhomes 2030, when we're aware that all these items are needed, we brought together, the project itself brings together expertise. So in terms of Tipperary Energy Agency actually pioneered and developed the Superhomes concept. And there's a team of project managers, engineers, accountants, all on sales, all coming together within Tipperary Energy Agency. Limerick Institute of Technology, as you know, there's a research team there. There is a LIT Innovation and enterprise business unit there as well, and it includes engineers, architects, business experts. The European Heat Pump Association, we're all quite aware of them, especially this morning, brings specific technical expertise and knowledge in relation to the heat pump market, capacity building training, and the EU deep retrofit market. Sustainability Works is also a partner on this, and they bring expertise and knowledge on the financing side of this project, and certainly sustainable energy investments. And last but certainly not least is ESB, and they're leaders in Ireland in the energy transition and have vast experience in national scale rollout of energy services in Ireland. Their retail, for example, their retail silo of their business has 1.1 million homeowners to date, or customers to date. So they're leaders in terms of market scale and strong focus on business processes and in-depth knowledge in the residential market in Ireland. So all of those fantastic partners were what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to really develop, in Ireland. So dramatically scale the Superhomes offer in Ireland, move to a model of completing about 100 homes per year to 500 per year by 2030. Certainly our ambition is a lot more than that, and a lot higher, but in the initial years, we certainly have to develop the market. We want to expand and improve the Superhome service offering. And obviously there's the energy savings as well as 48 gigawatt hour savings between 20 to 23, nearly double business as usual scenario. And how are we going to do that? Because this is really, really ambitious. We are hoping to have at least 4 regional Superhomes one-stop shops throughout the country. So if we think of the map that I showed you earlier with all the blue dots on it, you can see they're very concentrated in the middle. And that's where we started. That's where Tipperary itself is based. And we want a national rollout. So to do that, we would like to see regional one-stop shops around the country. And the main reason for that is to access talent in those areas, and also access homeowners to make it easier. So we're developing the capacity in each of those areas. A large focus of this project is contract development and training. I mentioned already the finance solutions, independent of those public finances. We need to look at technical standards, tools, analysis, design systems, an open source energy performance data platform, such as the Knowledge Hub. So within this project, we're certainly looking at a growth strategy plan, business plan, deep retrofit community of practice, and opportunities to expand the business model outside of Ireland. So it's really, really ambitious. So we're looking at our business as usual. Business as usual would be quite a flat. We would grow very slow. However, with the Superhomes 20 project and the development of it, we're hoping to scale up. So the first couple of years, it would certainly be doubling every year our productivity. However, we'd really see it taking off after a couple of years. And the reason for that, and I suppose most people here today would be quite aware that technologies and solutions that are appropriate for deep retrofit are constantly evolving and developing. We need to focus on standards and best practice procedures, and we need to be developed and applied to ensure the Superhomes is the forefront of technological innovation. And really what I'm saying is we need technical design solutions to provide cost-effective, market-ready, technically sound solutions for homeowners. So we need to be ready and prepared and do the right things in the right way. We need to develop and deliver appropriate training. That's the technical and also the business management and financial management for training as well, to contractors, to stakeholders, to homeowners. So really looking at all pieces of this puzzle and pulling it together. And the reason for all that is we want to accelerate engagement, investment, and the implementation of deep retrofits in Ireland. So there's a lot of moving parts. So the key objectives of this project, there's 5 key objectives. If I start at the very first, I mentioned already, develop a network of at least 80 high-performing contractors across Ireland, supported by those regional super homes one-stop shops. To deliver quality, and quality is always key here, and quality deep retrofits. We're hoping that, like at the moment, we have about 30 contractors. We're really, really ambitious, but we would like each of those contractors to become more and more higher performing contractors as we evolve. And we need to be able to engage with them in the retrofit market. A lot of the contractors at the moment and suppliers are SMEs, so the small, medium-sized enterprises. We've already assessed through this project the barriers and the opportunities for the SMEs to engage. We need to support contractors to develop and deliver deep retrofit projects. We need to develop and deliver technical and finance capacity building to contractors, homeowners, stakeholders, develop lean processes, and eliminate inefficiencies in the deep retrofit process. So if we need to scale, and we need to scale quickly to cover all those very, very ambitious targets of the Climate Action Plan, we need to really look at eliminating all those inefficiencies and look at how we can aggregate those deep retrofit projects. The second one, develop Superhome's approach as a trusted model in the deep retrofit market, with 500 retrofits completed per year by 2023. The key to this is clear communications of approach, structure, systems in the Superhomes approach. We want to develop confidence in the supply chain and the end user. It's really about enhancing the Superhomes communications, our engagement strategy, and within that we're speaking about we're looking at knowledge hubs, social media engagement, our network of one-stop shops that will cater for the needs of homeowners, contractors, stakeholders, and make that easier route to retrofitting. Our third one I'd mentioned already is expand the Superhome solution regionally to cover 60% of the population, and looking at our business processes. The key here, and really what I'm speaking about, is increasing customer satisfaction. And to do that, we need to have a lean solution and design, and looking at those design team methodologies. We need to optimize our customer's journey and all those associated procedures. So how can we eliminate waste but continue on delivering high quality? We need to really look at our scaling up strategies and how we're going to enable this expansion. Ultimately, it's increasing confidence, it's increasing staff, increasing contractors, and the capabilities, the quality every step of the way. To support all of that, it's our finance, and this has been mentioned many times already this morning. So to design and pilot an innovative deep retrofit finance solution which aligns to market demand and policy. The dominant source of finance in Ireland at the moment for these types of projects for homeowners investments really comes from public subsidies and their own funds, which generally is a combination of savings or secured or unsecured loans. And we know time and time again it's been proven that finance is a key barrier to deep retrofit in the residential market. So we need to continue on researching and designing partnerships with stakeholders that can provide these Superhome solutions. And the idea here is that we would support the transition from public funded retrofits programs to maybe the market demand solutions. And we also need to adopt, and my last objective that I'll cover is to ensure that Superhomes adopts and implements best practice solutions and technologies in line with the innovation in technology processes. So we're a huge key part of this is looking at all those items. So what's involved in a one-stop shop, and I'm very conscious of time, so I go quickly here, guys. Apologies. A one-stop shop is more than just the sales aspect of it. We certainly adhere to a code of practice. So it's quality around our standards. We look at quality in terms of advice, skills, training. So we want to provide knowledge hubs, guidance, information. To the retrofit process itself is key. So it's the design, installation, the customer handover, and the quality assurances, the data warehousing, quality schemes, enforcement, monitoring, evaluation. And you can see it's a full circle. Everything is tied together. It's all tied together under the banner of independent and quality. And we stay with the homeowner every step of the way. But we also stay with the contractor every step of the way. And that can't be underestimated either. That's hugely important. So the main task is to develop a business plan and also to implement that business plan for how we're going to do this scale and how we're going to scale up. And we want to scale up and expand from a client base of single family homes to certainly looking at landlords, social housing, local authority, all across Ireland. So how are we going to make this bigger and better and more robust? And then once we have that planned out and we're at that stage at the moment, we would certainly be looking at implementing it. So we'd be describing and defining what our services and products are. We're looking at how we're going to expand, what sort of resources would we need, how we would, our financing plan, our structure, our governance, our risk, our mitigation, all those lovely things that come with business planning. And they're all key to success if you plan in advance and make sure it's right. So enter where we have the Electric Ireland Superhomes. So far, this has been a huge success within the project. We've managed to go into a joint venture. So Electric Ireland Superhomes is a new joint venture established by TEA and ESB, born out of a strong synergy with TEA bringing proven engineering, technical expertise and experience. And ESB, as I mentioned already, experience in terms of achieving scale, operational systems and marketing experience with national reach. So I'd mentioned earlier that we have completed a number of homes throughout Ireland, but we want to really expand nationally. So to do that, to create, achieve that national reach, we've joined forces with Electric Ireland. And we certainly will be working on that. So this is a very new announcement in the last, very recently, and we're really, really excited about this. A lot of work has gone in and we're feeling very optimistic. So I mentioned already about defining what it is we do. And that's been one of the key things within this project, is really looking at what we do and how we do it and what the fundamentals are of it. So we're really looking forward to dramatically increasing the delivery of our service. So retaining our focus on the whole house. Multiple multi-measure deep retrofits to work with homeowners right across Ireland. So it's irrespective of who their supplier is or where they are. We want to work with everybody, helping them to improve the comfort, warmth and efficiency and energy efficiency of their homes, while also playing a leading role in the delivery of Ireland's climate targets. So it'll be ESB, TEA come together, and we have then Electric Ireland Superhomes, which is going to lead the energy retrofit residential market in Ireland. So just to sum up, and again, I'm conscious of time, apologies, Dan, if I've gone over a little bit. The project itself, it was the usual way these things are structured. We've got our 7 different work packages. The first few, so we've looked at the marketing, what's out there at the moment. Work package 2 is really market analysis, ecosystem design, assessments, surveys, focus groups, brand development. And then that's all being built into our standards and capacity. We've mentioned already, it's quality every step of the way. We want all of our super homes to be developed to the same standard, and then also looking at the financial solutions there, so at the straw man stage at the moment, and really enhancing that customer journey and the business process optimization to support all of that and bringing it all together into that business plan and then implementing it. So we're really looking forward to moving to the next stage of this project. It's hugely ambitious. We started off at the moment with business as usual, retrofitting about 100 homes a year. We're looking at ambitiously looking at 35,000 homes by 2030, maybe even beyond that. But it's all about developing the market and the skills and the contractors in Ireland at the moment, and also increasing awareness and understanding of what a retrofit is across Ireland. Okay, thank you very much. Apologies if I went over time.
Okay, thank you so much, Janet. And congratulations again on Electric and the partnership that you've just signed. Very, very impressive. And a big scale up in the renovations. Moving to the next presentation, and this one coming from Jose Ramon Lopez. He has a bachelor in electrical engineering with an MBA in international trade. Since 2002, he has worked for Ente Vasco de la Energía, EVE, the Basque Regional Government's energy agency. During all his career, he has been involved in international activities, coordinating and participating in numerous projects financed by the European Commission through the Energy RDI and regional cooperation programs, as well as multilateral institutions related to renewable energy production and management, energy efficiency, and saving and efficient clean mobility. Jose, welcome. You have the virtual floor, mouse, and everything. Let's see if the presentation will cooperate with you.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm trying to find the controls for the slides.
Yeah, should be on the bottom left corner. There should be a set of arrows. If not,
apparently
we can just
they are not working actually.
Click once on the screen, please, and see if they appear. And then go down to the. Do you see them now?
Okay.
Yep. Do you see them?
Okay.
It works. Good. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for your kind presentation. I will introduce the one-stop shop concept that we are developing in our project, Heroes for All Opengela. The project started in May 2019, and it's funded by the H2020 program of the European Union. Okay. First, I would like to share some facts about Basque Country. We have a high density of population, 2.2 million inhabitants in just 7,000 square kilometers. We are a highly industrialized area. About our building stock, 65% is over 40 years, and 43% was built before 1961. We have mainly condominium blocks with accessibility and energy efficiency issues. In these multi-property buildings, they have high levels of ownership, and the decision-making process for building renovation is really difficult. Another fact is that about energy is that in the building sector, there's low energy consumption compared to industry, for example. But on the other hand, the building energy bill is more than 30% of the total bill. So the citizens pay more for energy than the industry. We also have a mild climate, which makes energy retrofitting payback much longer than in Northern Europe. So as you can imagine, energy efficiency is not the main trigger for building renovation. And in 2012, the Basque government conducted a study taking into account a number of indicators, which concluded that more than 30% of the population lived in vulnerable districts and conditions that require action. And finally, I would like to highlight that we have aged population in our region. That's it. In this context, the Basque government, EVE, and two local public organizations dealing with urban regeneration have started the Heroes for All Opengela project. This means a clear leadership and involvement of different levels of the public administrations. We are two departments of the government, actually, and two local organizations that are participating in this pilot project. I would like to highlight that Opengela is part of a broad strategy of the Basque government that includes energy, environment, housing, and social policies. The project has the ambition to contribute to the renovation of all the housing stock in the Basque Country until 2050. This is approximately 1 million homes. We are checking and testing the concept of one-stop shop and district offices as a tool to support the renovation wave at a district level. We believe that the renovation should focus in districts. This brings a multiplying effect, economies of scale, and the creation of local economies at district level. That's why our program includes the establishment of physical district offices as a tool to articulate all the aspects related to home renovation. In this early stage, we have put the focus in vulnerable districts as priority areas of intervention. We have been working for 2 years now. We have established 2 pilot district offices and the management entity for the program in the Basque Country. With all these ingredients, we are designing a program that includes a coordinated network of district offices with the involvement of all levels of the administration, with the objective of renovating the Basque housing stock, with a focus on energy efficiency, and with a focus on vulnerable districts. Energy saving is not the only trigger of the renovation in our region. The main aspects to take into account should be comfort, health, and other non-tangible issues. That's why our program includes other levers to home renovations, such as accessibility, safety, and district regeneration. In any case, our priorities in energy renovation include strengthen passive measures in order to reduce the demand and prioritize renewable energy generation. This is really ambitious for the south of Europe, but we trust in the levers provided by accessibility, safety, urban regeneration, and the social aspects we are covering with our program. Financing is not the only barrier. In most of the cases, there's a lack of knowledge and awareness among the citizens. The contractors are not well trained, there's not critical mass and difficulties to stimulate demand and a number of issues. This requires the creation of a service that focuses in financing and technical assistance to try to fix this. Let's now focus on financing. It is very difficult to find financial products designed for home renovation with energy efficiency criteria. In most of the cases, the only available options are consumption loans that have inadequate loan terms, 3 to 6 years, that have high interest rates and demanding guarantees that not everybody can cope with. This means that the monthly fees are high and there's no room for vulnerable citizens and leads to a triple failure. First, there's a market failure because the financing is not designed for this purpose of home renovation. Then there is a failure of the environment policy caused by the low rate of building renovations. And third, there's a social failure as vulnerable citizens are not included in the green transition. Here you can see some examples of the rates that consumer finance or credit cards charge to consumers. And in most of the cases, they are the only credit options available for vulnerable citizens. Sorry. We then need a service that makes home renovation easy, affordable, and fair in order to create trust to renovate. We believe that technical assistance can make it easier. Can you see me?
Yes.
Sorry, I think I muted myself. I don't know. Funding solutions, they are designed for home renovation and can make it more affordable, and using smart, feasible measures to make it fair and inclusive. We believe that district offices can provide a holistic service to the citizens, guiding and accompany them through the renovation journey, not only at building level, but also at district level. This includes, among others, technical assistance, a one-stop shop to apply for subsidies and financing, and follow-up. The offices are planned to be a physical point. We believe that this might attract the interest of people, and the closeness will generate trusts. The offices might also be a social meeting point for the districts. We are designing a management structure to manage and coordinate the program. This will coordinate all the district offices that will participate in the program. The structure of this body is a foundation with a participation of public and private partners, such as the Basque government. Yes. So you can see in this graph, we have distributed the population in relation to their rent. The population on the right with high rents can access to bank credits, although this is not the optimal solution for home renovation. The ones in the middle have lower rents but have capacity to pay. In many cases, they cannot access to bank loans. And the ones in the left are the more vulnerable ones, have very low capacity to pay. An affordable and financial tool designed for energy home renovation can help that most of the population, even those who have limited access to bank loans, are eligible for the program. Sorry. As you can see here, the financial tool can be combined with public subsidies and loans, as is the case in the two pilot projects we are running now. The intensity of this public support is higher in the more vulnerable population with lower resources. Then, as for the benefits that are provided by the financial tool we are designing, I have to say that we will be able to cover up to 100 of the cost of the project. The request project process will be quick and easy. There will be no need to contract extra services as insurances or similar. It won't have a cancellation fee. The payment deadline will be up to 15 years to be closer to the payback of the investments. And the nominal interest rate will be between 6.5% depending on energy efficiency improvement ambition. I would like to share to end 5 key messages with you. The intervention in districts bring benefits in terms of economies of scale and multiplying effect. In our region, energy is not the main trigger for renovation, and we have to use other levers such as accessibility, neighborhood regeneration, health, and so on. The involvement of regional authorities provides stability, vision, and ambition to the projects that will bring replication, and it will be also combined with the participation of private stakeholders. District offices, one-stop shop offices approach provides opportunities for involvement of the citizens, trust building, and higher implication from private sector. And the renovation wave requires a change of scope in financial markets, and the involvement of public authorities is really a key for the success of the programs. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jose. Very nice to see Bilbao again, as used to live there. So you put a picture of where I used to live before. Thank you so much. And a lot of interesting information about the financing that the project is offering, as well as a lot of thought being given out to the different conditions that different groups of stakeholders are facing, and very nice. Thank you so much. Just a quick note that we are running a little bit behind schedule, so we may cut the Q&A session, but again, please feel free to put the questions whenever you want to the presenters. Please, in the chat box, please use the panelists and attendees, so that not only the panelists can see it, but also the attendees, and so everyone can see both the question and the answer. Finally, and the last presentation of the third session, but don't go away because there's something after that as well, is Federica Follini, who has a background in sustainable architecture from the University of Bologna and in building services, mechanical engineering from Brunel University of London. Besides some research periods in Portugal and Chile, she has also work experience from Germany and England, where she specialized in Horizon 2020 projects and proposals. Federica is a Prince 2 qualified project manager with over 5 years of experience coordinating projects and initiatives in the topic of smart cities, and is project coordinator of ICT-related building solutions. Besides the technical and administrative management of those projects, she maintains contacts with European Commission representatives and delivers activities and reports on business models, replications, and commercialization. So, Federica, hopefully the slide transitions will work for you quite well. And I see that you are already using them. The virtual floor, microphone, and presentation is yours.
Great. Thank you very much, Dan, for this introduction and for the very interesting presentations that were held before. I try to be quick as this is the last presentation of today. The purpose of my presentation today is to give you an overview of the Sun Horizon project. I will speak mostly about the overall project scope, but then going to the technologies and the demo sites that we have in the project, and some parts of simulations and testing, which is the area where we are focusing now, and a brief recap about what's next that we will do in our project. So starting with the project scope, Sun Horizon is an innovation action project, which is a large project of 10 million euros, focusing on energy efficiency retrofits for buildings. We have 21 partners in the consortium and 8 different demonstration sites across Europe. The scope here is to reduce the CapEx and OpEx costs of these technologies while improving their efficiencies. So this is a mainly industry-driven consortium. We have only 5 top-level academic research institutions and 12 industrial partners, of which 5 are large enterprises and 7 are small and medium enterprises. And then we have 4 associations and stakeholders acting as demo sites. The project involves TRL7 technologies, mostly sun, solar technologies and heat pumps, to be integrated in technology packages. We have in total 6 technologies to be integrated that builds 5 technology packages because they mix in different waves, and 8 demos. The 3 research pillars are based on functional monitoring and data exploitation. So this is a bit of the Gantt of our project. We started in October 2018. So far we are in month 33, so we are fully in the demonstration phase. Before we have had the pre-demonstration phase where we simulated the buildings. In the prototype phase, we have prepared all the technologies which are now being tested, and in the demonstration phase, which was supposed to start in month 30, but due to the pandemic got postponed and will now start in month 36, we aim to install these technology packages in our many demo sites. Finally, there will be a replication and promotion phase, which of course lasts throughout the project, but we know that it's more intense towards the end of the project. Of course, by the end of the project, we aim to reach a full marketability potential of the solutions. So going to the technologies and the demos, here you can see a bit recap of what are our 6 innovative technologies at TRL7. So they are already existing in prototype stage. With our project, we aim to improve their efficiencies. We focus on some specific models for each of them. We want to improve their efficiency, improve their operational costs, reducing their capex when possible, and also their installation potential, let's say. So we have the hybrid PVT panels provided by Dual Sun, a Swiss company. Heat pump, solar panel, and PV, 3 different components provided by BDR Thermea, a French company. Vacuum solar thermal panels, high vacuum solar thermal panels with very high efficiency provided by TVP Solar, Swiss company. All 3 are SMEs. Hybrid absorption compression cascade chiller for summer cooling provided by Fahrenheit, also SME. Thermal compression heat pump from a German provider, Boost Heat, and stratified thermal storage tank, also from a German provider. So all of these are SMEs or very small companies, and it's very interesting to see how they are combining them into this. Okay, so here we have another visual of the different solutions that we have in the project. So the 3 heat pumps, the 3 solar technologies, of which only 2 are in the development phase in the project. The BDR Thermea are not under major development. And the storage tank from Russia. The storage tank from BDR Thermea is part of the kit and is not improved as part of the project. All these technologies are combined in technology packages to serve the different needs of the houses. We don't have only residential, we have also tertiary buildings. But the needs are space cooling, heating, pool heating, because we have a tertiary building, which is a swimming pool and domestic hot water. So the 5 technology packages are here summarized in this table, where you can see for each of our demo sites which technology package they have installed. In the picture, you can see the 3 main type of buildings that we have in Europe, where we have mostly residential, like the building here you can see from Nuremberg. We have also tertiary buildings like in Sant Cugat, and we have the swimming pool in Belgium. The remaining buildings are either residentials or tertiary. And you can see that the locations are Berlin, Nuremberg, Sant Cugat, Madrid, Piera, always in Catalonia in Spain, Verviers, that provides a swimming pool as well as a sports center, and then Latvia, where we have 2 residential houses with the same technology implementation. So here, the different technology providers that you see attributed will be are summarized better here. So the 5 technology of the 5 technology packages, actually only 4 are installed in the different buildings. So you can see, for instance, that TP1 will consist in TVP plus Boost Heat parallel integration. So TVP is the high efficiency solar thermal panel, which will be integrated with the Boost Heat absorption heat pump. TVP will supply the thermal heat produced to the Boost Heat, and Boost Heat, of course, in summer when the technology is producing more heat, while Boost Heat alone will cover non-solar thermal periods. And TP1 is installed both in Berlin, as you can see here, the first picture, as well as in Verviers, the Holmore, which is the second picture. TP2 is always relies on Boost Heat as an absorption heat pump, but it combines it with the PVT technology. So both producing solar energy, thermal energy, and electricity. And the 2 technologies will be combined in the way that PVT, the PVT can also assist the Boost Heat evaporator. And the TP2 is the most deployed one. We will have it. We are having it in Nuremberg. We are having it in the 2 Latvian houses, and we are using it for preheating the small pool in the Verviers sites. And then we have TP3, which is only a summer cooling technology. We are installing it in Sant Cugat, in these tertiary buildings. It is the combination of the solar thermal technology with the absorption chiller for producing, well, TVP will support also in winter the production of space heating and domestic hot water, and then we'll activate the thermal compressor for the summer cooling production. TP4 is serving both summer and winter needs, because the BDR heat pump is a reversible heat pump, and Dual Sun is the PVT provider in our consortium, and it will deploy in Madrid, as well as in Piera residential house, while Madrid is a social housing, a high building, and Piera is a standalone house. In Piera, we don't have the dual sound system, we only have the entire BDR system. TP5 is a very complex one, a very expensive one, so it's not been deployed in any building, but is under study. We are performing different simulations which combine different weather and building structure, and performing around 12, a matrix of 12 different cases where this technology, which provides both heat and cooling by combining the high temperature thermal solar system with the absorption heat pump and the absorption chiller, is combining to both serves the needs for summer and winter. Going a bit to the simulation and testing, which is what we are doing now. We are actually seeing the results so far. You can see that we have done two types of simulations. The first one was a transient dynamic simulation, so a desk analysis, which provided already the nice results that you can see here in the table. So, for instance, we have around over 30% of primary energy savings, and in many cases also over 30% self-consumption ratio. So we really make the buildings more almost independent, let's say, or at least very much efficient. But then we have performed the testing already for TP4 in a real bench simulation, in an almost real bench simulation, which was just completed in May. So the results of this TP4 testing are very similar to actually what was foreseen in the transit study. So for instance, we can see here the results. Oops, in the next slide is a bit, I think it blocked. Okay, here. So in the simulation, the test bench simulation that we have performed at CINS in France is an 8-day test sequence that provided some results very similar to what was originally planned, which is 60% annual primary energy savings and 45% renewable energy ratio, which we are very proud of. What's next in the Sun Horizon is more simulations. We are now preparing the TP2 test bench simulation in this semi-virtual, semi-real environment in CINS, where we will test both the ratiotherm, which is the stratified tank, with the boosted heat pump, and the PVT panels. The PVT panels won't be provided by DualSign, but are virtually simulated. And we have completed now the installation of this TP2 in CINS. We just need to start the 9-day test sequence. So at the end of this, we will just take some time, and then we will know what is the actual performance of this solution. Another test that we are going to perform is on the LT Power high vacuum fed solar thermal panel provided by TVP. LT Power is the type of panels that we have selected. These will be installed in PFE for their training, for professional training purposes. But before this, we aim to install in the semi-virtual test bench to perform some simulations. So during a few days in June, we will perform this simulation, around 10 days of simulations, and then we will see what is the actual performance of this. Another action that we are doing now is to integrate the different monitoring and control tools developed by the project. We have many of them from different companies with different purposes. Some of them are just the first bullet that you see, the optimized sensoring and monitoring platform, is for technical users. So it involves control purposes, design under uncertainty study that has been performed by Irina, and predictive maintenance strategy, while the second one is both for technical people as well as for the end users. In fact, it includes also some the app feedback from the end user interactions. So here you see a very complete roadmap of our project. We are in month 33, so you are almost a bit more than a half of the project progress. What we have done, we have developed the technologies, we have prepared or started to testing them, and now we need to actually install the different technologies in the demo sites. By month 36 we aim, so September, so we are in a deep, stronger work for making all the demo sites, the different 8 sites available for installation. And of course, this is an intense work also with the simulation partners to transfer their learning skills and installation skills. Here you can see some exploitable results. This project aims also at producing a lot of market potential, especially concerning 4 types of technologies, 4 types of products. One is the solar panel technologies or solar thermal technologies, which are the first 2. Then we have 3 heat pumps that aims to reach the market with this improved efficiency reached through the Sun Horizon project. We have a storage tank, as we said, from Rachenberg, and then we have 3 different tools: the self-learning and the advanced controller, the smart and user interface, and the Sun Horizon tool suite and cloud database, so the complete one. And this is a bit, is the last slide, and is a bit of the marketing and exploitation roadmap that we aim to reach. Also, we are part of the exploitation booster service. So we are supported by we have been selected as a project to be supported by Horizon, the European community. So to provide exploitation services. We have 2 different of exploitation. One is the technology provider exploitation alone. So each technology provider or solution provider is expected to develop a roadmap. And then the second type, which is the most complex one in every European project, is the mixed one. So where more technology providers needs to develop together a roadmap for exploitation. And we aim within 5 years after the project's end to really reach a commercial agreement. And this is an interesting process we are going through. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Federica. As always, Sun Horizon is really fascinating, and best of luck, because I saw that there are there's a lot of work that is coming up. So EHPA will do the best to support you on that. Thank you so much. So thank you for the speakers. Unfortunately, we ran a bit over time. So again, if you are a participant and you have some questions about the presentations on this session, please feel free to just put them in the chat box, again, with panelists and attendees, so everyone can see your questions and the answers that the panelists will provide. So to move to the last part of today's event, the summary and outlook for the sector, it's my pleasure to introduce you someone that was very hard to get, but I know some people that know him, so we pulled some strings. So with great pleasure, I introduce you to our Secretary General, Thomas Novak, who has a long-term experience in renewable energy, heating and cooling, and especially nowadays electric vehicles with heat pumps in their design. The Secretary General, his main responsibilities are the representation of the heat pump industry at the European institutions, networking with other stakeholders in the field of heating and cooling, as well as the management of the association to fulfill its vision, mission, and of course, to prepare for the almost unavoidable now mass deployment of heat pumps all over Europe and the world. Thomas, the virtual floor microphone and maybe the mouse is in your hands now, please.
I think I have a mouse. I'm not sure I need it really. So thank you very much, Dan, for the enthusiastic introduction. And I would like to say that it seems to me that my work has now become easier because all of you will contribute to it and will contribute to this mass deployment of heat pumps. Just to give you 3 slides of background where we stand, why Dan is saying this is unavoidable. What we have here is the summary of the Energy Systems Integration Strategy. That's a document that was published last year by the European Commission, and it says that, or it forecasts that 40% of residential buildings and 65% of all commercial buildings should be heated by electricity by 2030. And if we assume that energy efficiency first still prevails, then this summarizes to 49 to 52 million heat pumps. And remind you that we have in the moment around 13, maybe 14 million heat pumps installed and about 1 million of hot water heat pumps on top of it. So it's a factor of 4 that we have to increase the basis, and it will be impossible without the solutions that were presented here and today. Luckily, and we have heard that we have to look at making buildings fit for purpose, making buildings fit for heat pumps. And here the second communication from the European Commission comes to the rescue. Luckily, I would say, because in this document, in the EU Renovation Wave communication, one important line stands out, and that is, let's focus on renovation, the least performing buildings, about 35 million buildings that are least performing, that are by all standards today maybe not even fit for any type of renovation because they are so inefficient. So just replacing an existing boiler with a new boiler will not improve the situation of the end users that are living in these buildings. But once you renovate them, and sometimes this doesn't have to be deep renovation, but it has to be, I would call that a sensible renovation, so that the energetic standard is improved enough to put a heat pump or a hybrid heat pump into it. Well, hybrid heat pumps work pretty much everywhere, but we would actually also need to reduce energy demand. Then these are the buildings that would be first in line. And then comes the IEA data that I wanted to share with you also. This report, Net Zero by 2050, has recently been published, and it foresees by 2050, now it's the world level, but it foresees by 2050 1.8 billion heat pumps that should be installed across the world, and that will mean the dominant heating solution will be heat pumps in the very near future. If we look at all this together and we come back to the European level, then you can see here a handmade, because I don't dare to give it more robust picture. It must look handmade, because we don't really know if this is all possible and how much we have to do. So I did this by myself, but you can see an S-curve development here. And you see the two red circles that show where we are in terms of annual sales. Heat pumps slightly below 1.5 million units per year, probably growing at 10, 15, maybe even 20%. And then the stock, as I said, arriving at slightly below 13 millions as we speak. So this is the background, but this is only numbers, because without everybody and everything that has been presented today, we will not manage. So I think it's safe to say, to summarize what we have heard this morning, cooperation is key. We have to cooperate along the value chain. We have to integrate all players, not least the end user. And I'm happy to see that we are seeing a lot of social innovation, a lot of policy innovation that will accomplish exactly that. And that includes also the regional authorities. Regions have to decarbonize themselves. They have a role to play. They have a contribution to make to the respective national and then indirectly to the European targets. But regions are also a trustworthy partner. I think a regional government is typically more trusted than an industry, than a manufacturer or an industry association. So these end users that trust their regional partners, that trust their regional energy agencies, they will find a very important role in this process. And that goes down to the neighborhood. I really like this presentation where it says, okay, don't renovate the building, renovate the neighborhood, because then you can actually demand, you can aggregate planning capacity, and you can aggregate financing. So the energy agencies in this development are really important, and hence thank you also for Federina and for Seamus for coordinating this effort together with us. It's really useful to see how this cooperation unfolds. Then one-stop shops, and personally I'm the biggest fan. One-stop shops, I think they are the most important tool, because they include the customer. They include the customer journey also, and pick what is my technology? Will I be able to finance? Will I really get more money in the future from this? And so this is super important. End users will be enabled to take fundamentally sound decisions on what is on renewable energy systems. And so maybe they will take sound decisions to make their homes renewable homes, but maybe I should also say they are making their homes super homes. And I like this term, this name a lot, because who would not want to live in a super home? An old saying has it that change is not happening from condemning the old, but from highlighting the attractiveness of the new. And a super home for sure is an attractive value proposition. Last, financing is an issue. So how much does renovation cost? Will I be able to afford it? Will it make sense when I want to sell that building? that is important points, and end users will not start engaging in the energy transition if they are not solved. But from a society perspective, I would like to ask, how much does inaction cost? If we don't do these renovations, if we tell people that, oh, a simple boiler replacement will do the trick for you, then we will not achieve the CO2 emission reduction targets that we have set ourselves. And maybe we haven't even set them ourselves. They were set on us by the need to limit global warming at 1.5%. And I find it really strange to talk about financing when I read at the same time that the European banks are parking billions. I think it was close to 400 billions that was in the news last week, that are parked at the European Central Bank simply because the banks don't know what to do with that money, because that's the logic. I mean, make it clear to yourself. If the banks are parking billions at the European Central Bank, they don't know anybody that would take this money as a loan. And then there is a fundamental mistake in our system that I think we can solve by some of the propositions that were made this morning and beyond, of course. So the banks need to be they need to be engaged to lend the available funds to people that want to renovate their buildings, want to renovate their quarters, want to renovate their cities. And again, the energy agencies that were presented this morning, but also other consulting and aggregating bodies, will become a vital part of that solution. It's good to realize that technology at least is ready. And that's what makes me happy. On the one hand, we can say that from the industry perspective, we have done our homework. We have provided enough solutions, heat pumps, hybrid heat pumps, batteries, thermal batteries, electric batteries, and an integration of all of this to make this energy transition feasible starting today. But we need policy and social innovation. And then in the end, I finish with what I started. It depends on people. So thank you very much, Dan, Irini, Seamus, Vincent, Francesco, Rocio, Christine, Padraig, Janet, Jose, Federica, and everybody else that I have not mentioned here that was responsible for making this a success. Your ambition has and your hard work has made this event a full success. And I think we will need this in the future. So please continue this work and the ambition that you have shown today, so that we can see the decarbonized society unfolding in front of our eyes and become a reality. I think it's possible, and even better, it's possible today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. That was a very nice summary and a little bit of extra information. I echo the words of Thomas, not only what he presented, but also a big thank you to everyone that took place in this, in organizing this event, as well as in speaking at it. We have so many projects, so many partners, so much support that was coming towards this event. So it's very much appreciated, as well as my team, of course, Irene, always in the technical part and in the background, and providing all the information and invitations and everything. But again, the situation that we're in has some disadvantages, of course, that you're sitting home all the time, but also some advantages that we have a lot of online events such as this one. So take a look at the events that we have coming up, us, our partners, our projects that are of interest. We have one just next week. It's a co-creation webinar to just look at the mass deployment of renewable heating and cooling technologies. All these events are really easy to attend, really easy to get to engage with the speakers at. And also they're very easy from a logistics standpoint and basically free, except for your time, of course. Keep a lookout on the EHPA social media, on EHPA's YouTube. You can find there all the recordings. Keep an eye on our website. We have a dedicated, let's say, tab where you can find all the events that will take place until, I would say, beginning of next year, as well as all the events that have taken place. If you have a phone really quick, scan that QR code. It will give you all these links and more. Thank you again for attending today. Thank you again for speaking. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being part of this transition and for just being along this journey together. Have a lovely afternoon and hope to see you very soon at another one of our events. Bye-bye.